Hey there, true believers. This is Christopher Charles Ryan Hamilton, and I am back. Today, I'm going to do a review of The Amazing Spider-Man 700, the final, last issue in the Amazing Spider-Man series, written by Dan Slott and illustrated by Humberto Ramos, as well as a few other extra stories that are written and illustrated by other well-known people in the Spider-Man comic books. However, because of certain issues going on, I was unable to do a review of 699. So, mini quick review. I give it maybe an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was a really interesting issue because in the issue, Dan Slott proves that he's a master of his craft. Despite the situations being extremely serious and dire for Spidey, he still manages to make it humorous. For example, when Peter figured out a way to get a bunch of supervillains to come to the maximum security prison and break them out, there's a part where the Trapster comes in and tries to hook him up to like some sort of life support system or whatever, and starts getting sick to his stomach and whatnot. But what made it funny was he was thinking about the fact that the Trapster's original name was Paste Pot Pete. And he flashed back to a scene where when he first encountered him, he said, "I'm Paste Pot Pete." And Spider-Man couldn't fight him because he was laughing so hard. He was laughing so hard to the point where it pissed off the Trapster. He was just like, "That's it. I'm gonna come up with a new name." He just left the battle. He just walked away. And Spider-Man was still laughing his butt off. That was really funny. So that's why I thought it was interesting. Also the fact that, he's able to access Doc Ock's memories and saw a lot of stuff about Doc Ock's past and access the memory of how Doc Ock pulled this off and figured out a way that might try to help him get out of the situation and, came up with one last resort and caused a new Sinister Six to form, and he's going to have them go after Spidey, or I should say Doc Ock and Spidey's body, and try to bring him to Peter and Doc Ock's body to try and figure out how to switch back to each other's bodies. Did that sound as confusing as I made it sound? I don't know. Anyways, that's my mini review of 609. Also, I just wanted to note that in honor of today, yes, I did wear my suit when I went to the comic book store to pick up the comics. And I also, in my civilian clothes, was wearing this t-shirt in honor of the end of the Amazing Spider-Man comic books. 50th anniversary shirt by Mad Engine, fighting crime since 1963. I'd have to say Mad Engine made a mistake in that part. Spider-Man's been around since 1962, but if you're counting just the Amazing Spider-Man comics themselves, then 1963 would be accurate, because Amazing Fantasy, his first appearance was 1962. Next year, 1963, started his comic book series, The Amazing Spider-Man. I love my background, by the way. Came with a pillowcase. One side is Spider-Man. The other side, check this out. Fitting for today. Spider-Man versus Doc Ock. Nice. I didn't know that until I opened it today. I have the regular cover, issue 700. Of course, I have Avenging Spider-Man 15.1, which I will also do a review of since it serves as the epilogue to episode issue 700. I have the New Year's Eve New York City skyline type variant by, I believe, Marcos Martin did this. I really like it. It makes it look like a diner, and the diner is called The Amazing Spider-Man. It says established 1962. He's got a lot of his supporting cast in the diner: Robbie, Harry, Jay and Aunt May. And in the top corner, you see Spidey, like Green Goblin. another variant I picked up today, special to me because I love his artwork. Roberto Ramos's cover. And I'm not going to open it now. I'll probably post a picture or link to a picture later. But it's a rapper on the cover. And it shows a lot of his enemies throughout the past. And the cool thing is, like, his webs, they tangle up to make the number 700. And of course, in the moon, you see all the lovely main females. Spidey's life, you got MJ, Gwen Stacy, Black Cat, and Carly Cooper, which I think is pretty awesome. I think this is my favorite of the variants that's affordable. In terms of expensive variants, clearly the Steve Ditko one wins. Then on down the line, I'd say, Joe Quesada and everybody else's variant. But in terms of, in the range of at least $10, I'd say that one's my favorite. So now, on to the moment we've all been waiting for. Or at least me anyway. I'm gonna read The Amazing Spider-Man 700. Wow. That was actually really good. And I got teary-eyed at the end. And using his neural link with knocking his body to show him all the painful memories of all the stuff he's been through with Spider-Man, and trying to show him that with great power comes great responsibility. And his dying wish to make sure he lives by that code. It's really something. So, review time. Wow. Everybody talking negative about this book can go choke on a load of web fluid, because walloping web snappers. This was pretty damn good. I have to say, it's probably... You know what? I was really going to say one of the best issues in The Amazing Spider-Man I've ever read, but it's not one of. It is the best. And I know a couple people are going to go, oh, you're just being a fanboy. Oh, this nigga here. No, I'm serious. The way it was put together, I mean, of course, I'm not looking at it just by itself. Like, as I read it, I was taking in consideration everything I had read leading up to this. From Spider-Man's first appearance to every single issue of The Amazing Spider-Man that I've had the opportunity to read, which, from looking at the cover gallery that's towards the back of all 700 issues, like, they show 100 issues per page of... I can turn this good enough. I can't turn it that good with these gloves, but if you own the issue, you know what I'm talking about when they show 100 issues for a couple pages, 7 pages. I never realized how many of these I've actually read. I mean, there's a big chunk that I have yet to read, but I've read a lot, and it's just it's an incredible story. It's an incredible journey, and it's like, you know, the saying, all things must come to an end, all journeys and quests and heroes, stuff like that must come to an end. This is a really an amazing ending to Peter Parker's story. No pun intended. Um, do I think he's gonna stay dead? Of course not. I mean, I don't. I don't think they'll do that. I mean, there are some characters that have died and stayed dead in the mainstream, regular Marvel 616 universe, but major heroes never stay dead for long when they kill them off. My only thing is, I hope it's a long-lasting death for Peter. Like, if they do bring him back, they don't bring him back, like, you know, in a few months. Like, oh, he's just gonna stay dead for a couple months, and we're just gonna have Superior Spider-Man out for a few months, and then, oh, hey, look, Spider-Man, Peter Parker's back, and he's back in his body, and now Doc Ock is dead. Or if they come up with some kind of way to save Doc Ock while putting Peter back in his body, or something like that. I don't want something like that. I want something that's actually cool and logical, yet also like really mind-blowingly awesome, should they choose to bring Peter back in. I think they should wait a year at least if they decide to bring him back, and 2 to 3 years at most. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with me, but you know, just from the standpoint of, I want them to do this well. If Peter comes back, if they brought him back in like a few months, like less than a year, it would just kill the mood in terms of the, oh my god, right in the heart of Peter's death and Doc Ock now being Spider-Man. I think it's really interesting, and I'm all for it. Yeah, I know a lot of people think I'm just a fanboy, but I legitimately, honestly enjoyed this issue, and I enjoyed the storyline, Dying Wish, and I've enjoyed Dan Slott's run on The Amazing Spider-Man and other people's run. I've read almost every issue since the beginning of Brand New Day. I've only missed maybe about, I want to say maybe 10 or 15, between 10 and 15 issues. Because like, I haven't read the Gauntlet. I haven't read Grim Hunt or Craven's First Hunt. And I didn't get a chance to finish reading Big Time, unfortunately. But everything else, every other storyline I've read, and this was awesome. And I'm looking forward to Superior Spider-Man. I think it'll be pretty interesting. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on it. I don't think people should give up on Spider-Man comics just because of this. I think people who do are being irrational and silly. Because, I mean, there have been way more worse stories regarding Spider-Man. And there have been way more worse stories in comics, period, for other superheroes and other companies. And this is nowhere. This, on a scale, it's not even close to being bad. I mean, this was pulled off really, really well, and I really liked it and enjoyed it. Honestly, it was cool. It was funny. It was dramatic, and it had me on the edge of my seat. And I was darn it. I was really invested in what was going to happen, and wondering if Peter was going to make it out, and he didn't. And I, as a hardcore Spider-Man fan, I've always been interested in seeing a story where he didn't win. And I don't mean that he just like, oh, he just lost a fight and then he comes back and beats the villain, or no, I meant like a legitimate, or like if someone died on him, because we've seen that happen so many times. I've always wanted to see a story where he honestly loses and the villain wins, and we kind of get that here, but not entirely, because in a way it's almost like a tie. It's like Doc Ock did beat Spider-Man, but assuming Doc Ock does fulfill his promise to Peter, it's almost like Peter also won, because he's like, my legacy is gonna live on, even though it's through my greatest enemy. If he listens to me, hopefully everything will work out. And that's one of the things that intrigues me about Superior Spider-Man. Will Doc Ock continue to live by the code of, with great power there must also come great responsibility? Because it's been teased that he's a darker Spider-Man, which is apparent by what happened in this issue. There's going to be much more blood than we're used to seeing when Peter was Spider-Man. Even just his physicality and like his poses is more darker and menacing than how Peter normally is. And I just want to see what happens next. Honestly, I'm curious and excited about what happens next in the story, and I'm curious if Peter will ever come back. I'm interested to see what Marvel does, what Dan Slott and Ryan Stegman cook up, and everybody else working on the title. So I'm definitely going to reserve a copy of issue 1. I'm going to get as many copies of issue 1 as I can in terms of the regular and the variants, because some of the variants look really good. I definitely want to pick up J. Scott Campbell's connecting variants of 700 and Superior Spider-Man #1. That'll be interesting. But yeah. On that note, I'm gonna enjoy the last amazing Spider-Man Rice Krispies treat I was able to find. Spider-Man on the wrapper. So good. Tasty. Just like this one. Ooh, man.